throw me in the deep end. I will make myself have fun despite everyone else. Yes. That will only ruin your guys' experience. Wonderful. I do good improv. Oh, god damn it. No. We can have some fun with that. I didn't bring a cuddly. I feel really left out. I do not understand Newcastle. Yes, no, I remember it well. Old Improvisor Max. Only a name that Charlie can call me. I insist you try and claim that I am Joe from Foolish Bandits. Yeah, now you must call me that. That is my official title. I should start the show. I'll have fun anyway. I'm in the office, vaguely ready. We've all had our hair grow out. He's not dead, but they'll all be me in different hats. That's just my aesthetic. The camera adds a different face. Incorrect. Anyway, how dare you? Only Improviser when we allow it. Anyway, I'm going to shut up so you can actually get on with introducing me.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Cast v Crew v Lockdown. This week, the story chosen by you, our audience, was The Ugly Duckling. So we're going to try and retell that in true to form. You might have noticed that we don't have Josh again. He's still having internet programs, so we sourced a new improviser. Here's Joe Thompson, who's not actually a new improviser.
I've done it for like 5 minutes. They insisted that I come and try this. I'm actually a sculptor. I'm really trying to get my sculpting career off the ground, and people keep bringing me into improv stuff, and honestly, it's getting really uncomfortable. Hello.
I walked into that one, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, we're here to do another story show. Hello. I've lost track of what I was saying
I'm
now.
so sorry. I didn't keep my mouth shut.
Oh, it's fine. Anyway, so the same format as always, except for this time, Matt and Joe are telling the story as Team Cast, and me and Mary are back together on Team Crew to disrupt them wherever and whenever possible. The show is The Ugly Duckling. We will be holding up little animals to tell you when we're interrupting, and when we interrupt, they will switch who's speaking. That is more confusing than it should have been. You'll pick it up. This gets harder every week.
It shouldn't.
Ah, yes. The slogan of the lockdown.
53 days and counting, I think. I lost track. Anyway, this week we're throwing Joe at the deep end to start our story. So whenever he's ready, 3, 2, 1, take it away.
Okay, so there's a no, there isn't a swan. There's a goose. And no, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
goose. No, there's a duck. So no, there is a swan. There's a swan, and she's like, I'm totally ready to just smash out an egg, mate. I'm just like absolutely 100% down. Just give me space, and I'm gonna egg all over this shop. And she just eggs everywhere, like a bloody machine gun. And one, I assume, rolls away, and she just forgets about it, and into a duck nest. Now this duck is like, I have not had any eggs for ages. I've been waiting for some eggs. I'm going to sit on this egg and just pretend that this was mine the entire time. And lo and behold, she does, and out pops,
a lizard.
cool.
A little bit of a surprise to this duck, naturally, that a lizard would pop out the egg, but given that this duck was a novice egg hatcher, she didn't know any different, so just assumed that was normal. Now, as is the usual manner of newbies around the pond, this lizard was sent off to play with the other ducklings. Now, the ducklings were as accepting as they possibly could be, but it was very difficult to look past the obvious differences between their newcomer and the rest of the ducklings. The lack of fuzzy feathers, beak. He could still swim, but mostly underwater. And the fact that when the ducklings were wandering around behind Mother Duck, he wouldn't step in line. He would weave in between, out in front, back behind, but absolutely refused to stay at the back of the line, and so naturally was the victim of some rather harsh ridicule. The other ducklings were really rather mean to this little lizard, who didn't know any better, and so considered himself a duck or a duckling. He tried to play and he tried to join in, but he just couldn't. He tried to ruffle his feathers or have the water run off of them, but he couldn't because he didn't have any feathers. And it was day after day, he was endlessly jibed and ribbed by the ducklings, who were fast developing into really quite horrible bullies, as they had a complete lack of any sort of proper parenting, because the other ducks were off the other side of the pond discussing politics and the economy and the sad state of the reeds. Now, the ducklings began to grow older, and as they grew older, the differences between them and their lizard friend became all the more obvious. Their feathers started to fall out, the fluffy down started littering the bank. Is that a suggestion, Martin?
Yes.
Awesome.
And the lizard turned bright pink.
Right. So, what happened, right, is they were growing, and this lizard just starts turning pink, and the ducklings are like, "Now, listen, mate, that's not on. That's not what we do. We've already bullied you a lot, and clearly you haven't been listening. Like, we're going to have to go harder. We're going to have to do more. We're going to have to try and find a way to make water move in a circle so we can give you a swirly. Like, honestly, this is going to end up on an advert for Childline by the end of all this. Like, this is not going to be sweet." And the lizard's like, "You know what? I'm not having this. I've turned bright pink. Clearly something's up. I probably should go to a doctor or something." So lizard wanders off. He's done. He's absolutely done with the whole situation. Duck Mum's like, "Hang on," and he's like, "Nah, I'm off. I've got to go and just go and deal with this situation right now, Mum. I'm just gonna be real with you." Duck Mum goes, "Fair enough." So he wanders off, and in an effort to not make this end prematurely, decides to go on an adventure. He wanders off into the reeds. He wanders off into a field. Honestly, he doesn't stop wandering. He finds himself in the middle of New York City, and he's having a great time. He's like, "You know what? This is the holiday I always dreamed of. This is the holiday that I always knew I would have." And he at that point he realizes, "Nah, I've gone too far, right? I've gone too far. This is nowhere near my pond. I'm from Yorkshire, and I don't know how I even got here." So he decides, it's probably time to go and have a look in his reflection in the water. So he heads on over into Central Park. He looks down into the water reflection, and he sees his face. And what he sees is not the face of a duck, which, he lived on a pond. He should have looked down earlier, but, he spent so much time under the water, he didn't really think about it. But now, travel's really good for the soul, they say, and really he learned that maybe he should just look down in the water. He looked down, and what does he see? But, yeah.
The pink lizard face with a giant moustache.
He had never looked down because he had never thought to, or if he had done earlier, he would have noticed that he was growing the beginnings of some really quite astoundingly beautiful facial hair. And given he spent so much time underwater, it was in a permanent state of being waxed and slicked back. It was a brilliant handlebar moustache. And he was gazing down to the reflection, and he thought, now none of the other ducks have this handlebar moustache. In fact, that is the one place they can't grow anything, is on their beaks. They are constantly bemoaning the fact that they can't have a beard. And none of the ducklings could. And as they were growing older, they were trying to get their old downy feathers and stick them to their faces to form some sort of a magnum moustache maybe, or even just a little soul patch. It just wouldn't work. They just fall right back off again. This was their one failing of these ducklings. And here this lizard was, bright pink, with a handlebar moustache that you could hang a monkey from, staring down into the water, and he thought, well, this is it, this is me, this is my time to shine. And he turned in the centre of Central Park and began his epic journey back.
On that journey, he met an old man, Sir Ian McKellen.
So anyway, he's wandering along. He's heading back, and he's like, I don't know how I got here. I think I just, zoned out for a bit. Don't really know how I got to New York City. Probably should find a way back. And he wandered into JFK Airport, and he's like, right, I gotta get a ticket. And who should he bump into but Gandalf himself, Sir Ian McKellen, who's like, and he's like, I'm being honest, I didn't get a word of that, Ian. You have to do that one again. He goes, I'm bloody Sir Ian McKellen. And he's processing this, as I think we all are. And he's face to face with Gandalf. He used to love the Lord of the Ring films. He used to go to the bottom of the pond, stick the DVD on. He used to be like, Frodo, you idiot, just take the eagles. Oh, you absolute dongo. Anyway, he was face to face with Ian McKellen. He was like, can I have your autograph? And Ian was like, of course. Where would you like me to sign? And he was like, well, first of all, you need to stop doing whatever you're doing. And he was like, okay, it's a method acting. I'm doing my next role is Mr. Blobby. And he's like, okay, nothing like Mr. Blobby either, but I respect your approach to your art. But can you just sign something as well? Well, yes, I suppose so. What would you like me to sign? He was like, just write on the back. Just write your name on my back, and we'll be done with this. And so Ian picked up the lizard, signed it on the back, and went, "That's a very nice mustache." And he went, "Yeah, I'm growing it out. I really want to look, basically with the pink, scaly skin and the mustache. I kind of want to look like a more perverse Michael Cera." And Ian McKellen was like, "That's coming across." And he was like, cheers, mate. Anyway, he got his ticket, jumped on the plane, he was flying away, and he was like, you know what, I'm feeling good about this. Got my free peanuts. Bloody love peanuts. I just met Ian McKellen. Honestly, life right now is amazing. Yeah.
The plane was abducted by aliens.
The lizard didn't have a great knowledge of the dynamics and the physics involved in flight, but he noticed when the plane started going forward and started floating upwards, caught in the beam as it was, the tractor beam of a UFO up above. Now, the aliens were only circling over Earth briefly. It was actually their version of a saga holiday. So this alien ship was filled with elderly aliens who just wanted to see Earth life close up, but weren't allowed to go down because the organizers knew if they let the aliens down, they might never get them back. And if one of them dies while they're out on there, the paperwork is immense. They couldn't possibly handle that. So it would just bring the humans here. Now, unfortunately, the aliens, having lived rather fantastical lives on other planets in distant galaxies far, far away, were rather disappointed by humans. They were flicking through the plane, and the humans were stunned into silence and also into unconsciousness by their captors. And the aliens were flicking through and then suddenly stopped in one of the seats in first class and looked down and thought, this is not a human. And they were, of course, looking at the little pink lizard with the magnificent handlebar moustache and the autograph of Ian McKellen. Now, would you believe it? But these elderly aliens were massive fans of Lord of the Rings and Vicious and some of the X-Men films, but not all of them. Not all of them. And they were gobsmacked. They were stunned. In fact, they treated the lizard like a celebrity. They bowed down. They said, "My goodness, is this?" I mean, they were tips were flowing into the organisers of the saga holiday, and they said, "This is incredible. This is amazing." And they were chatting to this lizard like he was a celebrity. And the lizard his ego was just inflating. Was feeling so much better about themselves. So when the aliens were done with this plane, they just dropped it off in the area. They always dropped off in it. It's sort of a Bermuda Triangle sort of area. They just dropped it down there to disappear gently. But they said, no, we will keep you, the lizard, and we will take you. Where would you like to go? And the lizard said, I'd like to go to Yorkshire. And they said, find it on a map. And there were a few hours spent learning the basic skills of cartography before the lizard finally went, right there, take me there. And so, back at the pond where this lizard was born, where it was born again, and then grew up, Suddenly, a bright beam of light strikes the center as the alien ship floats overhead. The lizard floats down gently, like an angel descending from heaven, and delicately is deposited in the center of the pond, in the middle of this group of ducks, who are now fully fledged ducks. Yeah.
The ducks start a religion about the lizard.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Honestly, like, these ducks look at him and go, listen, I don't know if you've been around duck culture very long, but not many of us descend from the heavens in a bright beam of light. We usually come down around about, mid-spring after we've decided to fly back south for the summer. So yeah, this is kind of all a bit new to us. So we are gonna, and I really must insist on this, praise you as some kind of messiah feature. And then, all the old bully ducks who were just like raging at this point. Like, I cannot believe that our new god was the kid that we gave swirlies and went to significant amount of effort to make sure that the water was moving enough for a swirly, is now kind of like our religious leader. And not only that, but the star of the film that we all loved as a kid, is his name's written on his back. Like, if that's not a sign of some kind of messiah, I don't know what else is. He came down and goes, all right, I may as well roll into this. So he went, people of the pond, I come to you from the heavens, and I come with the good news of Sir Ian McKellen from Lord of the Rings. And the ducks went, and vicious. And he went, he seemed all right to me. And I'm here to tell you all the good news. First of all, be nicer to people with handlebar mustaches. Don't give them swirlies. And all the ducks went, that seems oddly specific. And he went, I'm just saying how I'm just reading what I've got here on the piece of paper. And he pointed to an empty palm where he pretended to hold instructions. He went, look, first rule, don't make fun of people with mustaches. Second rule, stop being horrible. Just stop it. And all the ducks went, that feels super vague. I feel like that's a law that could be manipulated in later years to cause some kind of evangelicism, or could create zealots in the future. He went, listen, I'm just reading what's here. It says don't be horrible. I mean, honestly, if anything, I'm using cleaner language than what's used here. And I won't want to read what's there, because honestly, this is polite company kids about, still in their eggs. And finally, you have to show me where my real mum is, because I don't know about you, but this is clearly not a duck. We're just looking here. One thing we could all clarify is this is not a duck. And all the ducks go, right, fair enough. Well, there's some swans that live next door, and to be honest, they don't generally socialise with us, but we could have a word with them. And we, they went and had a word. And obviously, as we all know, swans are well known for having pink, scaly skin and massive handlebar mustaches for, a good portion of their lives. And they went through and they looked at each other and went, well, this just makes sense. This just, I'm looking myself in the mirror here. That skin, those scales, that beautiful mustache, being able to, keep it turned upright even without hair products. Right now, I've found who I am. And the swan said, yeah, but we got rid of you for a reason, mate. And it turned out every 100th swan gets kicked out of the nest. Who knew? And he went, oh, well, I feel like actually in this instance, I'd rather not have known. And he went, well, you can come back if you want. No one else has ever survived long enough to come back and reapproach the swan community. Do you want back in? And he went, yeah.
He decided instead he would go and audition to be in The Hobbit the musical.
Hitting the Broadway stages at that time was indeed the reproduction of The Hobbit the musical. It had in fact been where Sir Ian McKellen was on his way to when he met the lizard at JFK Airport. Now, naturally, it goes without saying that the lizard marched in. The directors and the producers were dumbfounded with his sheer moustache and the fact that he had a written endorsement from Sir Ian McKellen on his back already. He was basically, he was a claw in. It was amazing. He was right in there. He got the part, the starring role, in fact, of Frodo, who, as we all remember from the Lord of the Rings films, has pink scaly skin and a handlebar moustache. In fact, it's been commented on many an internet forum how similar he looks to a swan. And so in these Broadway musicals, his name in lights, his name which shall remain undisclosed, in lights. For months to come, it was set him up for a beautiful career. Was this lizard who was once so derided, so put upon by this group of ducklings, and they watched him in their local cinemaplex in the live stream of this play, and they were astounded that they could ever have made fun of such a remarkable individual. And I think we can then safely say that they all lived happily ever after.
Way! I loved Frodo in The Hobbit.
It's been a while.
Well, thank you, Joe, for guest starring this week. We're super grateful. And thank you all for watching. We hope you stay safe, stay smiling, and stay distant. Goodbye.
Bye.
Me and Charlie at Little Chicago / Longboy the Noise are still doing bits of content here or there on both of those pages. One is very much connected to the other at the moment, so we'll do something on one and it'll end up on the other anyway. So if you go and follow either Longboy and the Noise or Little Chicago on Facebook, you can see the kind of stuff we're up to there. It's weird. It ranges from our show that we were doing before lockdown, Not by the Book, the improvised crime drama. And it also ranges as far as we did an improvised version of An Onion for Papa, a film that only exists in a poster in the background of one shot of High School Musical 2. And we acted out that entire film on scratch. Turns out it's a sci-fi.
Oh. Who knew?
I like the celebrity Tupperware impressions as well. That was good.
We also did some celebrity Tupperware impressions. I say we, Charlie did. I made it difficult for her.